Hello, my dear friends. I'm Yuyan. Today, Jay is preparing for the wedding of his dreams with Hwin, the woman who has stood by him through so many storms in life. However, the meeting with the village chief today could be a turning point that determines whether they can be together or not. Meanwhile, Tai still refuses to let go, clinging stubbornly and delaying signing the papers, leaving you worried and exhausted day and night. Will Juyeon be able to stay calm and hold on to faith in this love and happiness? Everything will be revealed in today's episode. Don't look away. That morning was truly peaceful. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting warm glimmers on the small bamboo table he had built with his own hands for Maya. On the table, a pencil softly scratched the paper. "Maya, you write so well," Jay said with a smile, tenderly watching each of the girl's hesitant strokes. Maya pursed her lips and carefully retraced her crooked letters. Her childlike smile glowed under the sunlight. With her Uncle Yi by her side, the world felt like a kind place. From the kitchen, Hwin watched them quietly, her eyes filled with affection. Seeing Jay lean down to guide Maya's hand warmed her heart with a strange, sweet feeling. She smiled softly, her smile as light as the dew in her tousled hair. At her feet, Vivi ran around barking a few times, as if wanting to join in the joy of that tranquil morning. The aroma of steaming rice filled the small house. Hwin wiped her hands and called out gently, "And breakfast is ready. Maya, come eat, sweetheart." Her voice was as soft as the breeze, gently breaking the calm moment. Jay looked up and smiled at the two women he loved most in the world. As they served breakfast, Hwin spoke with a mix of joy and concern in her voice. I found a job. It's cleaning at the village restaurant. I'll bring Maya with me, and if she can help with anything, even better. It's not much, but it's something." Jay fell silent for a moment, his expression turning serious, as if something weighed heavily on his heart. Then he spoke slowly, "Love, the issue with Tai isn't resolved yet. She still won't let go. The papers aren't ready. At noon, I'll go see the village chief to settle things between her and me. I want to end this soon so we can get married properly, free from the past." The breeze gently stirred the window curtain. Hwin looked at him, her eyes a mix of faith and fear. She took his hand and whispered, "I trust you." The morning remained serene, but in their hearts, a hope was blooming, waiting for the day it could fully blossom. That morning, the sky was still clear, but Ye's heart felt as heavy as dark clouds. He wore a new shirt, a small gift Hwin had sewn with her own hands. It still carried the scent of fresh fabric mixed with the jasmine fragrance she used to wash clothes. As he buttoned it, Ye looked at himself in the old mirror. His eyes held a spark of hope mixed with worry. This time, it has to work out. For Hwin, for Maya, he thought silently. The path to the village chief's house was bathed in morning sunlight. The breeze gently swayed the grass along the trail. Each step Yi took felt heavy, as if he carried the weight of years of sadness from his past. In his mind, he saw images of Hwin smiling by the fire and Maya carefully writing at the bamboo table. All he wanted was a piece of paper, a confirmation, something to let him marry the woman he loved and build a real home, free from fear and hiding. The village chief's small house appeared in the distance, its moss-covered roof and the slow-rising smoke from the kitchen visible. Jay paused, took a deep breath, and stepped into the courtyard. A dog barked, and then the door opened. The village chief, a man with gray hair and a kind face, came out, squinting. "Vies, it's been a while since I've seen you." Jay bowed his head and greeted him, his voice trembling with emotion. "Good morning, uncle. I've come to ask for a favor." The man nodded and invited him in, pouring a cup of hot tea. Jay didn't wait. Clenching his hands tightly, he spoke with determination. "Uncle, my ex-wife left 3 years ago. I'd like your help to confirm that so I can process the papers. I want to marry Hwin, the woman who's been by my side, taking care of Maya all this time. I just want a decent life, a real home for the girl." His voice quivered at the last sentence, not out of fear, but from the pent-up emotion of a man who had walked too long in darkness. In the small house, the only sound was the soft ticking of a wall clock. The village chief sat in silence, looking at Jay with a mix of compassion and thoughtfulness. Outside, the sun climbed higher, streaming through the window and illuminating Ye's thin face. That light felt like a fragile promise of hope in a life full of storms. After a moment, the chief nodded gently. His voice, slow and deep, sounded like the wind passing over old rooftops. "I understand, Jay. You're a good man, everyone in the village knows it. And Hwin is a kind, hard-working woman, always devoted to her family. All right, I'll help you with the confirmation. I just hope from now on you'll live happily, and no one else will have to shed tears." Those words pierced Ye's heart like a ray of sunlight breaking through clouds. His body trembled slightly, and his eyes welled up. Years of restraint, worry, and sorrow melted away in that simple gesture of approval. He stood, bowed deeply, and said in a hoarse, trembling voice, "Thank you, Uncle. Thank you so much. I promise to live well, to be worthy of Hwin and Maya." The village chief smiled with the kind gaze of a father, patting Jay's shoulder with a warmth that was strange yet comforting. "Go home. Don't let breakfast get cold. The woman waiting for you there is the most important thing you have." Jay nodded, his eyes still red. His steps were slow as he crossed the threshold, as if reluctant to break the calm of that moment. Outside, the morning breeze brushed against his new shirt, carrying the scent of fresh grass and damp earth. In his heart, a small seed of faith began to sprout, the belief that those who love and strive will one day find peace. Perhaps the luck he'd prayed for had finally arrived. That afternoon, the sun began to weaken. Jay walked quickly along the dirt path, clutching the confirmation paper, still smelling of fresh ink. A soft, radiant smile played on his lips, like an early breeze touching the heart. Months of worry and waiting were finally coming to an end. That fragile piece of paper was proof that he, Hwin, and Maya could begin a real, peaceful, and dignified life. As he reached home, Vivi's familiar bark greeted him. The dog ran out joyfully, circling his legs. Jay crouched to pet her head, smiling. "Easy, Vivi. Where are Hwin and Maya, huh?" But the small house was quiet. No laughter, no smell of food, just the sound of the wind slipping through the bamboo. Jay looked up. The sky had darkened, and black clouds rolled in from the mountains, dense as if heralding a great storm. He tucked the paper into his pocket and stepped onto the porch. The wind grew stronger, rattling the bamboo walls and shaking the door. A sense of unease stirred in him. It's going to rain hard. Why aren't they back yet? He leaned against the porch post, staring down the path to the market, hoping to see the silhouettes he loved. Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, Hwin wiped sweat from her brow, smiling brightly as the restaurant owner handed her her first payment. It wasn't much, but it was the fruit of her own effort, filling her heart with simple joy. She hugged Maya tenderly and said, "My love, you did so well today. Let's go before the rain starts." Maya nodded, her eyes sparkling, clutching her mother's hand. The two hurried along the dusty village path as dark clouds covered the sky. The wind blew stronger, carrying the damp smell of earth. The first thunder rumbled in the distance, heavy and deep. Hwin pulled her scarf to cover Maya's head and, quickening her pace, said, "Hurry, I must be worried." Back at home, he stood on the porch, his gaze fixed on the path. The first gust of cold, damp wind brushed his face, followed by raindrops that began to patter on the roof. His shirt slowly soaked, but his smile remained. In his hand, the confirmation paper trembled in the wind. A simple piece of paper, but the start of a true home. Outside, the rain poured harder. He stood there, waiting calmly with faith, as the sound of rain filled the air and a small flame of hope burned in his heart amidst the approaching storm. The rain had just stopped, and the scent of wet earth lingered in the air. In the distance, he saw the silhouettes of Hwin and Maya through the light mist. He ran toward them, his shirt still soaked and clinging to his shoulders. When Hwin crossed the courtyard, before she could say anything, Jay pulled her inside. Vivi barked happily, circling them. "Sit for a moment," he said, his voice trembling but his eyes shining. Hwin looked at him, surprised, not fully understanding, until she saw the folded paper in his hand, damp from the rain. He smiled, a full, radiant smile that hadn't graced his face in years. In a choked voice, he murmured. The village chief agreed. "Tai will sign the confirmation. Now I can process the papers and marry you. It'll be a small wedding, but real, our wedding." Hwin froze. A second later, her eyes filled with tears. Whether from rain or emotion, it didn't matter. She nodded, smiled softly, and rested her head on his shoulder. Outside, the breeze stirred the bamboo curtain, and the last raindrops tapped the roof like a gentle melody. That evening, they shared a simple meal, vegetable soup, stewed fish, and steaming rice. Maya sat at the bamboo table, focused on writing under the faint glow of an oil lamp. Jay, sitting beside Hwin, watched her quietly. Then he looked out the window. The night sky, clear after the rain, revealed stars that seemed within reach. He took Hwin's hand. No words were needed. A single glance said everything. She smiled and rested her head on his shoulder. In that warm atmosphere, they shared a tender, sweet kiss, like a promise of what was to come. From the table, Maya turned, her eyes sparkling with a mischievous smile. She covered her mouth, giggling softly, pretending she hadn't seen, though joy still danced on her lips. In that small house, laughter mingled with the sound of lingering raindrops falling from the roof, a melody of happiness. That night, the breeze blew gently, and the light of their home stayed aglow. 3 people, 1 family, sat together with warm hearts, as if the sun still shone within. But somewhere, at the end of the village path, dark clouds gathered silently once more. Will Julian's wedding truly come to pass this time? Find out in the next episode.